and welcome to SciShow Tangents, the lightly competitive science knowledge showcase. I'm your host, Hank Green, and joining me this week, as always, is science expert and Forbes 30 Under 30 education luminary, it's Ceri Riley.
Hello.
And also our resident everyman, Sam Schultz.
Hello.
Sam came in late today because we're recording this on a strange
Look
day.
Look who's talking, sir.
8 years, first time I've ever been in here before Sam. So I figured I'd bring it up. But that's not what I actually wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about how Sam kind of walked in and he looked a little bit like I don't know. I feel like you got a Jason Bourne vibe going on today. Like you may be being hunted by a secret government agency, and also you probably may be hunting that secret government agency back.
Yeah, I've gone full Ghost Protocol this year. That's my resolution is to go Ghost Protocol and to take down all the forces of evil that are oppressing me and all my friends.
You probably shouldn't tell the forces of evil about it on a podcast.
They know this is me. This is like when like Batman sets that building on fire, a big bat symbol. This is my big bat symbol.
He's like, you are aware.
I'm coming for you. You can't stop me.
Did Batman set a big building on fire? That seems like more property destruction than he usually gets up to.
I think that's in the third one when the city's destroyed anyway. I'm pretty sure.
Seems like a lot of work to put lighter fluid in every one of the bat windows.
That, my friend, is why you aren't Batman. It's not too much.
I'm not willing to put in the work.
Yeah.
You
just like send your enemies.
Gadgets.
You'd send them a text that said, "I'm coming."
It'd be so
for
embarrassing though if like somebody took a picture of like the 45 minutes Batman spent rappelling along the side of the building, pouring lighter fluid into each individual window.
Maybe he got Alfred to do it for him. You know?
Are there any superheroes that use the power of the costume to just have a bunch of them in many
Sam would know
places
the
at
answer
once,
to that
like a
question.
bunch of Batmans?
Yeah,
theoretically.
it's a mask anyway.
You're gonna be so sorry that you got me started on this. Because Batman himself has started Batman Incorporated, in which you can franchise out being a Batman.
You can franchise out being a Batman?
You can have a Subway, you can have a Batman.
If you're naughty, he'll come and bust your teeth out. But
does that happen? Are there bad franchisees in the Batman Incorporated incorporation?
Oh, you better believe it, my friend. And Batman has to go bust their teeth out.
There's a bunch of Spider-Men.
There's a bunch of Spider-Men.
Are there Spider-Men at the same time? Do they overlap with each other?
Or are they just the multiverse?
Yeah. There's Spider-Man. There's his various clones. There's Spider-Woman. There's Spider-Boy. There's a lot of them. And they're multiversal. So, depending on if that all happens.
Sometimes they all get together. There is this happens in Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where all the multiverse vampire slayers have to get together to close the Hellmouth together. It's very intense. But multiverse doesn't really count. That's not really
that's not Batman, Spider-Man, plural.
Yeah.
Well,
this is how the Dread Pirate Roberts works. He just trades the mask over to the next person, but there's never two at the same time.
Yeah, that feels like pretty standard succession of so you have become beyond a person. You become an icon. You become a known quantity in the universe, and you don't want the name to die, so you pass it on to someone who is honorable. But the franchisee model is what I'm really wanting to dig into.
Yeah, okay.
How can you have multiple of yourself running around at once?
It seems totally
people the
doable.
wiser?
Oh, people know because
but this is so you're telling us that we are treading new comic book ground.
Okay, yeah.
That Batman hiring Batman to do Batman stuff while Batman just gets a chance to relax and heal a little bit emotionally and physically.
And everybody's like, Batman's just everywhere these days.
Yeah, he's doing it. But it turns out Batman actually got therapy and was like, it's probably not all on me. I could probably share some of this.
Hank, if anybody here could write a Marvel comic, I think you could probably a phone call away. You're a Star Wars book.
I don't. That's a good point. I am into Star Wars.
I'm so stupid.
Book.
That's a DC comic. I feel like
it is. Yeah, sorry. Which is even easier. That's easier.
Oh, you think so?
Well, because they're desperate. They need it more.
Yeah.
They need big name Hank Green to come in with his Batman idea.
Yeah, and it's all just like a thinly veiled exploration of my own stresses and
anxiety and stuff.
Anxieties.
Yeah. Sad Batman. The movie's called
Bruce
Sad
Wayne
Batman.
wore glasses and his hair was a little curlier?
What if he kind of had like some gingerish hair that was kind of
and he
curly?
like lived in a small town. He lived in a small town Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, not the city. City's been played out. City Alfred has been played out. You know. Yeah.
And he made YouTube videos. And drove an electric car around. That's the Batman for me.
Yeah, everything's electric. It's completely energy transition Batman.
Yeah, and he tells everybody about it at every possibility. All his he beats them up and they're tied up, and he's like,
have you guys heard the good news about ground source heat pumps?
Joker, your Joker mobile could be so much more efficient.
Here on SciShow Tangents, we get together to try to one-up, amaze, and delight each other with science facts while also trying to stay on topic. Our panelists are playing for glory and for Hank Bucks, which I will be awarding as we play. I probably won't. And at the end of the episode, one of them will be crowned the winner.
You're just not going to do it this time?
Going to stop doing things?
We'll deconstruct the podcast.
It's not that I don't want to.
One segment at a time.
It's just that I'll probably forget. For any of our listeners who haven't heard the news yet, which we have already slightly referred to, SciShow Tangents is, we are very sad to say, ending this year. Our final show is going to come out March 18th. And between now and then, we're going to celebrate all the things Tangents. We're going to talk about some of our dream topics. We're going to have dream guests. We were going to have a dream guest this episode. Probably shouldn't say this, but there's, as we're recording this, a very large fire in Los Angeles, so they could not come. And as always, we're going to be celebrating traditional science poems and butt facts and all of our other regular shenanigans. Today's topic was handpicked by our own education luminary, Ceri Riley. So without further ado, let's introduce this week's topic with the traditional science poem this week from Ceri.
When you need a thing and it doesn't exist, just make it up, whether you hit or miss. Inventions sound fancy, but here's a twist. You can just sort of do it and add it to a list. Like imagine a guy who had a goal to keep their hands clean, but also dig a hole. They picked up a rock or maybe a bowl and scooped out some dirt. Hey, that's a shovel. Or a chef cooking beets or some red meat.
Did you just rhyme hole with shovel? Sorry.
Yeah.
A shovel.
What is this?
Well, yeah. We're really bringing back classic tangents.
Yes.
In honor of Stefan, our dearly departed. Or a chef cooking beets or some red meat, but it falls into the fire. That's defeat. What's this? A pot or pan or a sheet? They can sizzle it up. Hot food is neat. A hat for a cat or a pendulum for a clock, a fluffy bath mat or a new color of chalk, a trap for gnats or a painter's smock, a new thermostat or a CD that's punk rock. Most everything around us was made up by someone using science or luck or help from their son. And sure, lots of things are basically reruns. So why not just make things? Get out there. It's fun.
Hell yeah, Ceri.
Wow.
That's some tangent shit right there.
I couldn't even follow it, really.
It's really great. It's because it answered one of my most pressing questions about inventions, which we'll answer after we get back from the break. But that question is putting a hat on a cat an invention? And apparently the answer is yes. But before we get into it, before we explain to you what inventions are, we're going to take a quick break and then we'll be back to define the topic. All right, everybody, we're back. Ceri, what's an invention?
You know, there's like a philosophical definition, a vibes-based definition, if you will. And then there's a legal definition, which is much more boring. So the vibes-based definition is a new method of doing something, a new like object, anything that is previously unknown that you create. As opposed to something that you discover. So you find something in the world that already exists, but is not known or recognized yet. So like a theory of gravity or something like that is not an invention because technically it's all out there and we're just modeling the thing that already exists. We're noticing a thing. If you discover a new cat, you didn't invent a new cat or species of cat.
Okay.
You can name it.
What if you breed a new cat, though?
then I think it kind of falls into the you can like create a new medicine, you can create a new plant species that we then turn into commercial. You create a new cat, you can make new cat.
Yeah,
you can definitely patent some cats,
like cat breed.
No, well, I think you have to do. I don't know. I don't actually know, but you can definitely patent like particular seeds of crops that you've done genetic engineering.
Those like the beagles that glow. Like you could patent the beagle that glows.
I bet you could patent the glowing beagle if you wanted to, but hopefully they don't. It gets messy.
This is why it gets messy with legal definitions, because if an invention is considered, I think the three main categories that I found are novel, so new to the world, useful, helps in some way, and non-obvious.
Yeah, which is why
loaded word.
Putting a cat in a hat is totally an invention, because somebody did that for the first time.
Yeah.
It's definitely useful. I enjoy it. And 3, who would have thunk?
Who would have thunk? Yeah, you have to look at something and go, who would have thunk? And then it may be protected by the legal classification of a patent.
How? The determination of useful, that comes down to a person just deciding if it is, or are there parameters around useful?
Yeah, no.
That's how law works.
There's courts. The courts have to decide this. Well, okay, going in a different direction. Ceri, is math invented or discovered?
So this is a hot debate, I think.
I know. I brought this up specifically because I figured you'd looked into it. And
a little bit, yeah. I think that math is something, it's in the discovery zone of things, in the way that people like a new music piece, you can copyright it, but you can't patent it. So you're composing a new music piece, or you're creating a work of art. You're not inventing it. You're not inventing it, really. You're using all the things we know about math, the logic and rules, and then creating new formulas to describe the universe or to solve a problem. Is the way that I kind of see it.
I'm just so hung up on this useful.
Useful?
Yeah. Because useful apply to I can look at it and I'm having fun looking at it. Is that useful?
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, why patent law is usually, you can cut this out if it's too mean. So I think this question of usefulness.
Sarah's about to go just slam down the patent establishment.
Yeah.
You can cut this out if it's too mean about patent lawyers. This is great. I have no idea what she's about to say. I can't imagine we're going to cut it out.
I don't want to get in trouble from anyone, because usually tech bros and business people are the meanest kind of people. I think patent laws are a bunch of, it's just people trying to compete with each other to be I own an idea. I came up with something slightly better than you. And
actually, you are being mean. Okay.
You're being mean to people who submit for patents, and you're doing a little voice too.
Yeah, I'm doing a little voice. Well, that is I think when I just decided to lean in and make it so bad that you gotta cut it, maybe.
Yeah. No. That was too good, though.
Yeah, we're keeping it.
I think good-natured people in the patent industry will be like, yes, that is a problem that exists, and I don't like those people.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there are people who are genuinely trying to be like, if I improve upon this, or if I come up with a new thing, and it would be good to have credit for this thing to protect myself in the future. So that I can iterate on this and make sure that it is used in the hands of good, not evil. Yeah. I think a lot of patents of this useful definition is just people trying to one-up each other in the tech space with a slightly different semiconductor, and then preventing anyone else from using the thing because they don't want to collaborate. They don't want to play nicely. They don't want to share their toys. And so they're like, my idea is useful. My idea is useful. Right. But people who are baking different kinds of breads aren't worried about that. They're just there making their bread, sharing it with people.
That's right. The bread people, they deserve more anyway, because bread.
So I think that's where it's like,
and what kind of world would be
useful?
Yeah. What kind of world would it be if we all had to pay out some money to make sourdough? That'd
be
unacceptable.
Yeah. What if we shaped our world and our society, instead of around the idea of something being useful, it is just joy or good or kindness instead, like as an adjective. And so in that way, useful is a very fraught word in patents because I'm uninterested in the industry that patents support, kind of, or increasingly so as I get older. I'm like, I don't care if something's useful. I have my things. I like my things to work, but
I see why Ceri wanted to do this topic.
Yeah. she got a whole thing prepared for it.
No, this was nowhere. I wanted to do this topic because I had funny old patents that I wanted to bring up, and then it unlocked something in me. This is my circle.
Okay. Well, we have to get into it then. So let's get into it. We're going to do our first game, and we're going to be playing a game of this or that from our friend Deboki Chakravarti. Inventions are the products of hours and hours of hard work sometimes, but sometimes they're just people trying to make a slightly different something just so that they can make a bunch of money. But it's built on the incredible wealth of knowledge that humanity has already amassed over millennia. But sometimes inventions are the result of an accident. Maybe someone had a mistake and they were able to get clever to cover up their foibles, or they were working on something else and they stumbled into a new idea. So for today's game, we're going to be talking about this or that of accidental inventions. I'm going to name an invention, and it's going to be up to you to guess, did an accident play a notable role in the development of this invention?
Okay.
Round number 1, the pacemaker. Was the pacemaker an accidental invention?
Gosh, I feel like a lot of stuff with electricity, you probably are accidentally going, ouchers. And then you get, I have a great idea now. Like Doc Brown. Oh, no, he hit his head on a toilet. I think somebody dropped something on a frog, and it made the frog's heart go da-dunk. And then they went, huh.
Aha.
If it can happen to a frog, it could happen to me. So accident.
All right.
But Ceri probably actually knows the provenance of the thing.
I don't think I actually do. Pacemaker is one of those things that I know in the broadest strokes what it does. It like keeps your heart beating at the right pace. So it's like electrical shocks to the muscle. I'm going to just do the opposite and say it was intentional. We were like, let's make sure we're doing it right.
Yeah. Sure. It does seem like something that you'd want to get right and not do on accident. And yet, Sam, congrats. So in 1956, an engineer, his name was Wilson, and he was working on building a device that could record heartbeats. So he was trying to record the heartbeats, but he was as he was working on the circuit, he misread the color codings on his resistors and installed the wrong one. And the result was a device that began to produce electrical pulses that resembled the activity of a normal heart. Whoa. And he realized it had the potential to work as an implantable pacemaker in 1958. He worked with a surgeon named Dr. William Chardak to test that on a dog's heart. And Greatbatch, this is Wilson Greatbatch, he would go on to patent that device, and it would be first be used in humans in 1960 on a 77-year-old man.
It would feel so good to accidentally invent something, because it eliminates all of the anxiety of having to have an idea and having to like do anything. You're just like, here I go. I've done it.
And with a last name like Greatbatch, really in the annals of history. Yeah. Is that word? Just like, whoops, I messed up, but destined for greatness, destined for great batches.
Yeah. Nominative determination or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, good work, everybody. Next we have the snow globe. Was the snow globe an accidental invention?
I feel like I've heard some kind of beautiful story behind why snow globes exist, or interesting at least. Wait, I don't know. Yes, it's also accidental. I think somebody fucked up somewhere along the way.
That's the thing. Snow globe feels like someone fucked up. It feels like someone was like, I want to create a normal globe, and then you coated it with paint badly, and then you shook it and was like, it's like snow.
Yeah, pretty cool. Yeah, or like it's like cheese or felt or something where it's like somebody obviously just like left something in a bucket of piss for too long, and then they were like, aha.
And then flipped it upside down and went, I was like snow.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we got 2 more winners. So the first snow globe patent was issued to a Viennese tradesman named Aaron Percy. whose job was to repair surgical instruments, and the globe he was making was not intended to be a delightful object of whimsy. It was intended, he was trying to improve on the electric light bulb to improve the lighting in hospital operating rooms.
Oh, no.
And to do that, he needed a magnifying glass. So he decided to turn to a tool that shoemakers had used, a glass globe filled with water. And he set up near an Edison light bulb, and he added reflective materials to the liquid so that would increase the illumination. But he also included semolina, which is a white powder that was used as baby food at the time. And that slowly descended, and maybe still is, I don't know. And that would slowly descend into the bottom of the globe. So he also happened to make models of a church in Vienna for a friend who sold souvenirs. One day, he decided to combine those two things.
Why?
This is truly anything. Semolina put some food in a bowl. That's an invention.
Totally an invention. So he just he shoved a little model church inside of it. And it was like, oh, this is a nice object.
That doesn't sound accidental, though. That sounds like he had something else, and then he was like,
"It's true.
This would look great if it had a little church in it."
That's a good point. I think one of the things that you know about inventing and doing stuff is that like you make something weird, and you're like, what if I like slammed all the other things I've ever known about the world into this new thing?
Yeah,
and it is very weird to be like, it looks like it's snowing in there.
I think that's natural as can be. I don't think it was an accident. I reject.
All right. Well, you get the point anyway.
Okay. Thank you.
Round number 3. Was the stethoscope an accidental invention?
These are only going to be interesting if they all were accidental, don't you think?
Maybe not.
This one to me seems like you can hear it through somebody's chest, so it like makes sense that you would put your brain on the path of like, I could amplify this somehow. Though I suppose put a cup on the wall, then you're like, put a cup on your chest. Is that what a stethoscope is, basically?
It's a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
It's a little more complicated than that, but basically.
Okay. I think it was an accident because I'm standing by. They wouldn't be interesting unless they were accidents.
I think this was intentional. This might be apocryphal. The story that I have in my brain about a stethoscope is that it was a time when doctors were mostly men and they needed to detect heartbeats and they didn't want to get near.
They didn't want to touch
the boobs. Yeah, the boob area.
Wow.
And so they were like, let's do something to get our ear a little bit farther away, a societally respectable distance away.
It's a modesty device?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Well, it was. Yeah.
And then
this is correct.
Okay. And so I think it's intentional. And it was like, no, I shall not put my ear to that boob.
Yes, it was, as Dabuki has written, it was the product of embarrassment. Not accident. They were just, it was like they're just used to putting their ears right on the chest of a guy, but they could not put their ear right on the chest of a woman. They were like that. Nobody's going to be happy about that situation, which I think that's like a legitimate thing to create an invention for.
It would be weird if your doctor had his head just pressed right up against you no matter
yeah, for sure. Especially if there was like a lot of sort of cultural norms around boobs that are, make me feel weird about that very thing. You
could smell their hair though if their head was that close to your right.
Yeah, that'd be kind of nice though. You just like sniff a doctor sometimes.
Yeah. Okay.
They get down there and they're like, now take a deep breath, and you're like, oh, doctor.
That sounds like the beginning of a rom-com too. Like, take a deep breath, and then your heart beats a little faster, and they're like, ma'am, sir, your heart is fluttering. Can you?
I
was not thinking a rom-com personally, but okay. There's other film formats that might fit well for that.
It's a dirty book.
So this was a person named Rie Theophile Hyacinth Linec. Yeah.
Oh,
except all of that was in French because he's a French doctor. And so he created this thing, but then it turned out that you could actually hear better through the stethoscope than you could with your ear. And yeah, he just rolled up a sheet of paper very tightly and held it over the chest so that he could hear the heart beating on the other end. So that was like the first step, was just like a long cup, basically. So just a cup at the door, but extra long. But then continued to reform it from there. He spent 3 years testing out different materials and designs and ended up with a hollow wooden tube that would become the first stethoscope.
And he never had to come in contact with a boob again.
Yeah.
A happy ending for all.
All right. So that means Sam has 2, Ceri has 2. We're going in as a draw. Next up, we're going to take another short break, and then it'll be time for our second game.
SciShow Tangents is brought to you by Rocket Money. Ceri, Hank, I don't know if you heard the news, but I am officially leaving the money dummy back in 2024. 2025 is the year of the money smarty.
Heck yeah.
I have resolved to make only the best possible financial decisions from now on. To that end, I need your advice. What should I be spending money on in 2025?
I don't know. I feel like the best thing to spend money on is nothing.
That's
it's
right.
It's like lentils and rice.
Yeah, even I could probably find some lentils and rice on the ground if I looked hard enough.
Who wants those?
Well, the money smarty. That's how to be the smartiest about money.
I think you got to become a Batman franchisee, obviously.
That's
it. How does Batman make money? I feel like Batman's a money-losing operation.
Yeah, Batman is a money pit, Ceri. This is a big mistake.
Just start running a protection racket as Batman. Be like, sorry, shop windows get broken when you don't pay the bat.
Leave your lentils in front of my doorstop.
That's why
Batman loves lentils.
Okay, well, Ceri, you got a lot of work to do, it sounds like, in order to be a money smarty. And you know what? That as good as that advice was, thank you so much. I know the real way that I'm going to become a money smarty in 2025, and that is with our old friend Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, punch them out like Batman's finding crooks, monitors your spending, monitor them like Batman's monitoring everybody in Gotham City, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings.
So you can
like
buy
Batman
more bat stuff.
Yeah. He invests his money, I think, probably.
Rocket Money's dashboard gives you a clear view of your expenses across all your accounts so you can see exactly where your money is going. And if you want to make a change, Rocket Money helps you create personalized budgets with custom categories to keep your spending on track. I know Sam has a category that's called bat stuff, and all that money just going into bat stuff. And then a separate category for lentils. Rocket Money can even help you cancel unwanted subscriptions.
Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. That's a lot of bags of lentil. That's a lot of bags of rice.
That's a lot of batarangs.
A lot of batarangs.
So many batarangs.
So you too can cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals, parentheses, Batman franchise, faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/tangents today. That's rocketmoney.com/tangents. rocketmoney.com/tangents.
SciShow Tangents is brought to you by Shopify. Shopify is the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. It's not so secret is Shop Pay that boosts conversions up to 50%. And don't just take my word for it. Take the word of sock, tea, coffee, soap, super salesman, Hank Green. Hank, the people want to know how does Shopify work for your business?
Shopify has been working for our business for a long time. Over a decade. When did we start using Shopify? 12 years ago? And we were very lucky to have chosen it at that point.
I wasn't even born yet. Crazy.
We were lucky to have chosen it at that point because it has grown so much along with us and has allowed us to continue doing new cool things. And one of the cool things that it has done in that time is introduce Shop Pay, which just makes it easier when people are in the process of checking out. I mean, I check out using Shop Pay all the time when I buy stuff on a Shopify store. And because so many people use Shopify, a lot of people have Shop Pay set up, and that just makes it very easy for them to finish the process and not have to do all the typing that sometimes comes in the way of ordering something online real quick. It just sends you a little code through your text messages, and you click on the little button that says, do you want to put this code in here that Apple does now? Love that. That's a cool feature. And then you've bought the thing.
Businesses that want to grow with Shopify. You can upgrade your business and get the same checkout that Hank and his socks and tea and coffee and soap businesses use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tangents. All lowercase. You know the routine. You know the drill. All lowercase.
We don't want to have to keep reminding you guys, but you keep
shouting. You keep shouting tangents.
We get emails every time you use a capital letter. They email us and say, are you guys saying
you gotta
all
tell them to do all lowercase.
Are you telling? Because it crashes everything if you use the uppercase for
You got to go to the bottom case of your typography cabinet and only pull out the letters from that lowercase.
Just a couple of those lowercase letters. Go to shopify.com/tangents to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/tangents, lowercase.
We're back, everybody. Because we were going to have a guest, we're not doing a fact off. When we have guests, we format the show differently. But that means that it's all going to be weird and wild because Ceri is going to have our second game for us.
It's just like my special day where I don't have to do anything except
I feel like you're going to win, Sam.
Show up, answer 6 questions, and if I don't win, I am just really stupid. I have all the advantages in the world.
You start out, yes, leading, and also if Ceri ties with you, it means you really messed up this game.
Well, she already tied with me in the first game. Yeah, that's right. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, come on.
This is actually secretly Sam's second dream episode, which is that he wins.
I win. There's this misconception that I didn't win like the first 2 years of this show.
I know. You're winning this season too, according to my records.
Okay.
So this is the scientific definition. The rules of this game are very simple. I'm going to give you the name of an invention. Then you're going to explain what that invention did or what problem it was trying to solve through the powers of deduction or guessing.
All right.
Whoever gets closer by my supreme all-knowing judgment will win that round and get a bat meringue. Since we're not doing ham
a bat meringue? Like a pie? Do you mean a batarang, Ceri?
Oh, no.
Do you mean a boomerang? Like a bat boomerang?
Like a bat boomerang.
Yeah, a batarang. They have batarangs. They don't have bat meringues, but they probably do.
This is what I get for trying to make a little silly joke.
You're the freaking joker.
Yeah.
So a batarang is a real thing that already exists. So I've seen these.
Batman's got batarangs.
These look very dangerous, I'll say.
He's got a lot of them.
He's throwing them all over the place in the movies.
To throw one of those things, you need a very special glove. But I guess he has those.
He's got, let me tell you, the most special glove of all.
Is it a bat glove?
Yeah,
a glove?
A glove.
It's called a glove.
Okay. Round 1 is the Pigeon Vest.
Okay, that's all we get?
Okay. That's all you get? You get the name? I feel like the name has a lot of it's a loaded term.
Yeah.
A pigeon vest.
No, there's a lot of information in there. A pigeon vest is so I know one thing about pigeons is that they produce crop milk. And so a pigeon vest is a way for a man to breastfeed.
Wow. Dang, I feel like that's just out of the box enough and will apply to many things that could be more true than what I'm going to say is that when you're taking care of pigeons, you got a big vest. It may be if you're carrier pigeoning guy and you're like, go. You got a vest. It's like a bandolier like the guy from Blues Traveler has with all of the harmonicas in it, except it has the pigeons. Pigeon, go. Pigeon for speed. Pigeon.
Just like it's a vest full of pigeons.
Yep.
I want to say of those two, Sam is surprisingly close.
Okay.
So it is a pigeon vest is a vest that swaddled carrier pigeons and allowed paratroopers to attach them to their equipment as they jumped out of planes, parachuted down, and then could release the carrier pigeon from their protective wrapping.
You have to jump out of a plane to release a carrier pigeon?
So this was during World War II, where carrier pigeons were a main method of communication, carrying messages or blood samples or tiny cameras or all kinds of things. But you couldn't release carrier pigeons from the altitude and speed of a plane in the air. So the paratroopers would like strap in their pigeons in their little protective pigeon vest, shaped to the body of the pigeon, leaving their like head and neck and tail and feet exposed, and then jump out, land safely, and then be like, okay, pigeon, go.
Oh, they wouldn't release it while falling.
Not while falling.
Okay,
this was like protection for the pigeon.
They could have.
It's like
once you're like parachuting, I bet you could let it out, and that would be. I know that that's not what they did, but still, I feel like they should have just to be amazing.
It's like having a cell phone that only works once and in one direction.
Yes.
Yeah, and these pigeon vests were designed and manufactured, going back to boobs, by the bra company Maidenform.
Oh, well. I mean, a little bit. I had a little something.
Yeah. A little
so
something.
Maybe we each get half a point.
No.
Okay.
It's the whole purpose. The whole purpose of it is to hold a pigeon.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Sam's got one. Round 2 is the bat bomb.
Hey. I know a guy who'd be interested in that.
Is it Sam Batman, a franchisee of Batman Industries?
Is it just you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like, Ceri, in the times that we've done tangents together, there have been many times where I've said, please, Ceri, please give me an idea for a fact. And I feel like you have sent me a fact that is a bomb that makes bats come to where you are and go crazy. And I think that's what this is. It's a bat.
It's like a bat attractor.
And they say, hey, get over here, bats, come fuck some stuff up.
I think it's the exact opposite of that. I think it's a device that is used to get bats away from you.
A bat detractor.
You set the bat bomb, you blow it up, and the bats are like, I will never go back there again. Those people are crazy.
Well, unfortunately, I might have tipped my hand. Sam is, in fact, closer, but it doesn't attract bats. You are delivering bats with the bomb.
There's bats inside of it?
Yeah.
What the hell?
So it is a...
Is this a weapon that we used in war? Oh, my God.
A theoretical weapon used in World War II.
Not used.
Times.
Not used.
This is tested, but not used.
Oh, God.
So it is a container filled with bats. So that's the outer bomb. And then each of the bats has strapped to them a tiny incendiary bomb.
No!
Oh!
So then you would drop the bats, which would then scatter, theoretically. And then the bats would fly into structures, and then you detonate.
And they would die.
And the bats would die.
I think probably the bats would die.
Batman wouldn't like this invention at all, actually.
Does Batman like bats? I thought he was
scared of them.
Bats.
No. No. Oh, well, in that one movie, he gets scared of them once, but he just sees a bat and he's like, those guys are pretty freaky. I'll dress like that. That's basically the long and short of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look, one thing I like about a World War II scientist is they definitely don't care about the lives of animals.
Nope.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the person who dreamed this up was not a scientist. It was a dentist, a dental surgeon.
Okay.
Named Dr. Little Adams, who was vacationing in New Mexico.
His first name was Little?
Lytle, Lytle.
Okay.
And he was vacationing in New Mexico, and he saw all the Mexican free-tailed bats in Carlsbad caverns, and was like,
I could blow that cave up.
I could catch so many bats on fire.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
He was like, what would be good in this war? Bats. What could be more devastating than bats?
How was the bat bomb held together? How did they get all the bats together in one little place?
So in the tests, they tested them starting in around like 1942, 1943. And it was the Army entrusted with this at first. And so there was one person who was in charge of the big bat container and one person who was in charge of the small incendiary bombs. And the big bat container...
Just a little cherry bomb in a bat. Yeah. Bats cannot carry much. They're very small.
They're very small, but these are, these were 17 grams, or about like 3/4 of weight.
That's like way more than a bat weighs.
I think bats are strong.
Well,
these
obviously.
bats were strong. Yeah. But the bigger container, it looked kind of like a normal bomb, like sheet metal with a tapered nose and fins. But then inside, there was heating and cooling controls and cardboard trays. So they would refrigerate the bats to force them into hibernation and then kind of like stack them in with the other things attached to them. And the big problem in all these trials, like throughout the year of 1943, was that many of the bats would not recover from hibernation fast enough. Like once you loaded them on the cardboard trays, had them in a cooled environment, and then you like released them all, they wouldn't wake up and start flying and flittering around. So kind of gruesome in the grand scheme of things, but they made several. They
made it, and they tested them, and bats died.
Yeah, more than 6,000 bats were used in Army experiments, and then the Army punted it to the Navy, and then the Navy
used
punted
is a word.
The bats, some might say, were useful as an invention. Yeah, so then they punted it to the Marine Corps, and then someone eventually was like, "We gotta cancel this. This is not working."
I don't feel like you do very much damage.
Well, I think the damage that they did do was some bats escaped with live incendiary bombs.
That also seems likely.
Set fire to a hangar nearby and like a general's car. And they were like, "Oh my God,
Ceri, this is amazing."
Yeah. So they really goofed up and they only damaged their own property.
No, my God.
Which they probably deserved after harming so many Mexican free-tailed bats.
Take that, General.
I would love to be in that pitch meeting where the dentist was like, "Guys, you got to see this. Pull down this projector."
Like, who did that dentist know? You know, like lots of dentists have dumb ideas, but very few of them end up accidentally blowing up a general's car.
I think he knew Eisenhower. I think he was like...
he was Eisenhower's dentist.
Oh, no. He was an acquaintance of First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt. Okay, different.
Okay. He's got you down on the chair and he's like, "And then you put all the bats in a bomb and you strap fire to me." Like, Like, "All right, you're going to get me a meeting?"
Great.
Okay.
God.
Round 3, chicken eyeglasses.
Chicken eyeglasses are a device that they are eyeglasses that are put on pigeon. Nope. Probably chickens. I think there's more likely they're put on chickens. And they are there to test how animals respond to having their perception changed somehow. I know we're always doing tests on chickens, and so I think that there's like it's a device used to test how animals interact with their world through sight.
I think it's to help them see their eggs. To make sure they know what an egg is.
One of the easier objects to see, I feel like, but okay.
I'm going to give that to Hank because it is sort of a vision experiment.
Okay.
So these are glasses that get clipped to a chicken's face. So you're both right on that. But they're either normal or rose tinted to make their vision worse so that egg-laying hens don't attack each other so much.
Oh, wow.
So it's like... chickens can be very aggressive to one another.
So this is useful.
Yeah. Especially if they're in tight quarters, especially if there are bright lights and whatnot. And so starting around the early 1900s, people were like, what if we just put glasses on a chicken or blinders on a chicken?
Feels like it'd be easier, like if we're just being cruel, to just put blinders on them.
Yeah. Just like blindfold completely.
Then they won't be able to see their eggs.
Gotta be able to see the egg.
That's a vital part.
And that's probably for the best because we're just going to take them away.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah. So chickens only attack like what's directly in front of their faces usually. And then if there is already damage to another chicken, like blood, spatters, or things like that, that tends to rile them up.
Nasty,
and so by having rose-colored glasses, by having these glasses, theoretically, the chickens
everything looks
calmer.
Like blood, and so they like just blood. Kill everything. Chicken man.
And when they can't see as well, they become a little more mellow. But understandably, these like eyeglasses went out of fashion because it's just like create better environments for your chickens, and then maybe they'll stop attacking each other as much.
Oh, I don't know that that's what we did, but okay, I believe.
Yeah, there are other ways. I feel like you can either separate them all, restrict them all as they're laying eggs, or you can like create better environments so they don't cannibalize each other.
Sure.
Well, I like eating chicken, so I can't really blame them. You know?
Yeah. I have a bonus question that we can do, or we can skip it for time.
Lay it on me. We only have so many episodes left. We got to take full advantage.
Okay. So the bonus round is almost impossible guess just from the name, which is experiment.
And the invention is just called experiment?
Yes. And I have a hint.
Okay. That's good.
And it is a U.S. patent in the category boats to ascend rivers.
Oh.
And it's called experiment?
The technology itself is not like, I couldn't find the patent itself, but like the demonstration, like the building of the thing was a boat named Experiment.
It was a boat named Experiment. Okay. All right. Experiment was a boat that was powered by an airplane. So an airplane just dragged it up the river.
That's just get in the airplane at this point.
Don't you poo-poo my idea?
I think Experiment is the first propeller-powered boat of any kind.
Ooh.
Ceri's eyebrows went up.
Ooh, this is hard. I want to give half a point to both of you because you're both Hank got the weirdness.
It was not an airplane involved.
There's not an airplane involved, but you got the weirdness, and Sam got the propeller. So I'll give it to Sam because technically the patent was for like a mechanical screw propeller under the water's surface as opposed to a paddle wheel. Like in a paddle wheel boat.
Oh, yeah.
But what was important about this patent is it's got to come with all the components of the inventions, is that this boat was powered by horses.
Oh.
So
that's a little bit like a plane.
Yeah, a little, horsepower, literally. And in researching this, I found that there were actually horsepower boats invented in Europe before this. So this wasn't the first example of a horse-powered boat. But in February 1801, someone patented this idea of a screw propeller under the water that was rotated by the action of horses walking around in a circle on a wheel. And just like as the horses walked around, the propeller whirled in the water.
Yeah, they figured out some gear stuff. Do you think was the propeller just like really big, or was it fast?
I think it was big rather than fast. It was 8 horses on a treadmill.
Oh, brother.
that propelled this boat. And this boat appears to have made one voyage before it got stuck in the mud and then got reclaimed by the inventor's bank because he owed them a lot of money.
Oh, shoot. What are we going to do with this?
Yeah.
Man.
Well, it's got horses at least.
Yeah.
I picture myself putting together a contraption like this because everybody makes a contraption every now and then. You're like, I think I can make this work. And then like Rachel coming out and looking at my big boat with my horses on it and my little propeller and just being like, shaking her head like, no, what have you done?
What have you
feeling such deep shame.
She wouldn't feel a little bit proud that you came up with an underwater propeller instead of above water propeller?
Absolutely not. She'd say you've gone too far afield. The horses is one step too far. Be like, Rachel, I need to buy some horses. You gotta trust me.
And then as the bank's coming to collect it, she'll just be there, arms crossed, going.
Told you.
Wow. That means that I end the episode with 1 point. Sam has 5.
Oh,
Ceri has 2.
Yeah. Look at that. Big brain, huh?
And now, congratulations, Sam, on your win.
Thank you.
Again, dream episode. And now it is time to Ask the Science Couch, where we got a listener question for our couch of finely honed scientific minds.
Adam Foote on Patreon asked, what is the most, quote, ahead of its time, end quote, invention? In my mind, this is something that was invented and was pretty useless for a long time until technology or society caught up with it, but feel free to interpret it however you want.
The first thing that popped into my head was the satellite, which I feel like was patented exactly the number, like almost exactly the number of years between when it was patented and when the patent expired was when the first satellites actually started being useful and used. I don't know. That's like a thing that's popping out in my head as a fact that I heard one time. but I don't know if that's actually true.
I feel like you hear like Wi-Fi got invented like a bazillion years ago, but I'm not even sure if that could be apocryphal. So maybe Wi-Fi.
And now I'm like Googling Wi-Fi. I don't know what Hedy Lamarr did.
Didn't like Hedy Lamarr
something.
did it? Wasn't
Yeah,
that
something.
That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, she helped.
Whatever she was part of.
Yeah, with Wi-Fi, GPS, Bluetooth, things like that. Yeah, I feel like I don't know anything about satellites either, but I feel like those are fair. I was thinking initially before doing any research, like a toilet or things like that, like thinking of an invention that was useful and has been relatively unchanged for a really long time. Like the idea of plumbing is we just did it. And then there isn't like there are some new toilets, but there aren't like radically new toilets. The basic
idea is the same of the toilet for the most part.
Yeah. But then when I was starting to like research ahead of its time, I feel like there are two. One is like a special interest of mine, and one is objectively maybe the thing. My coolest thing that I have dug into is like undersea cables. So I think in an episode however many episodes ago, I was like, I want to just be a maintainer of undersea cables of the internet. And we laid fiber optic cables in like the 1980s. So early internet, laying these fiber optic cables that crisscrossed the transatlantic for telephone and other telecommunications. But we laid the first communications cables in like the 1850s for telegraphs, which is weird to me. Like the fact that we had boats just laying these cables so that we could send dots and dashes to each other across the Atlantic Ocean way faster than a boat message. Like that to me feels unfathomable, that we were like, let's just create a gigantic thing and stick it down in the deep.
Cable, just a wire it from one side of the Atlantic to the other. Now, I will remind everyone, the Atlantic isn't that big. It's big. It's very big. But at some point in the last 5 years, I realized that the Pacific is just a monster. And the Atlantic is like a baby dinky ocean.
How much does that weigh, that cable?
Oh my God. And they had to like splice them together over and over again.
Oh, they did? I didn't know that. It wasn't just one continuous thing.
Yeah, I don't know. It was 2,242 nautical miles ish, which I have no concept for. But it must have been so heavy. You had it in a huge coil, dropped it down, hooked it up, dropped it down, hooked it up.
Wow. And
like just that concept that we could talk to each other so quickly across the ocean. But then the other thing is that I have fallen down a YouTube rabbit hole, how you just kind of watch video after video, the Antikythera mechanism.
Yeah.
Which I feel like is like the quintessential, it was like an ancient Greek mechanism. We've seen it now. It's like really rusted in a museum somewhere. And it used to be we think it was used to predict like astronomical positions and eclipses and a bunch of stuff to do with time. It was like a timekeeping device and seems way, way more advanced as up to the level of like an analog computer. And there is a YouTuber, his channel is ClickSpring, and he creates videos about like watchmaking and such. And he developed an interest in the Antikythera mechanism and is now trying to like recreate it from scratch, and has contributed to research papers about how it works, because in trying to think through how these pieces would have come together, he's discovered things about or learned things about this like invention.
That's so cool.
Which is like, I love people doing their niche little things. And so I feel like that as an objective thing of like, oh, that is something that we could see in modern times. We have physical proof that it existed thousands of years ago, ? Second century BCE. And we can recreate it and know that it works and would work to a degree that would be useful today as a timekeeping mechanism is like a very cool thing.
I looked up mine, and this is what is called in the business a persistent myth. My satellite fact is not a thing. Arthur C. Clarke wrote like a speculative paper about geostationary orbits and how that was a thing that was possible, but that is not a thing that he could patent or tried to patent. And So some wires got crossed, etc. And then we eventually used geostationary orbit. So it was more like Arthur C. Clarke was like, this is possible. And eventually we were like, you're right. So my alternate is electric cars, which we had in the beginning. And and then that was just like way ahead of its time. And now it's like, we got it. We figured it out, everybody.
But there is some of this stuff that's like, we did it pretty good the first time. And then a bunch of people were like, we could do it better. You know, like, I feel like I keep thinking of like almost like the internet as kind of like we did like it used to be better and now we made it bad. It's like reverse, like reverse good in it. But this is a really interesting question, and I feel like there could be like a whole book about like this microchip got invented 200 years ago, and then somebody was like, man, I need the perfect microchip, and then they're like, here it is.
Yeah, there's stuff like that in math too, where like they come up with ideas, like just weird math thoughts, and they're just not useful. They're not useful. They're not meant to be useful. But then somebody stumbles across it and was like, that would solve a problem I have.
This happens to me all the time, where I like look under my sofa and I see like a piece of wood, and then like 2 years later, I'm like, God, I wish I had this perfect piece of wood. I know it's under my sofa. You know what I'm talking about? That
happens to you all the time. I feel like I save a lot of pieces of wood and it never happens to me.
Or like at work, I like work on something and I'm like, this is a waste of time. And then like 2 years later, it'll be like, I need this exact thing. Amazing.
I've got a bunch of those scripts that are sort of like waiting for me to care again.
Yeah.
Or for other people to care again about a topic. And now for our listeners on Patreon, we're going to answer a bonus Science Couch question. Sam, what do we got?
Mix Brock on Patreon asked, when someone patents an invention, do they have to prove it can be made? Does it have to function in any capacity?
If you want to hear the answer to that question, in which we talked a surprising amount about Batman, as well as enjoy our episodes ad-free, head on over to Patreon. That's patreon.com/SciShowTangents. At our $8 a month tier, you can get our episodes ad-free and all the extended shenanigans as we answer a bonus Science Couch question every episode. The Tangents Patreon and all of its perks are staying up through the end of the show, and then we'll be sharing updates on where to find Patreon content after the show ends. So keep an eye on our socials and the Patreon itself for those updates, but you won't be charged after we stop making tangents. Our patrons are the best. We're so grateful for your support of the show. If you want to ask the Science Couch your questions, you can follow us on Twitter at SciShow Tangents, or check out our YouTube community tab, where we'll send out topics for upcoming episodes every week. Or you can join the SciShow Tangents Patreon, of course. Thank you to at Emma Warner on Twitter, at Luis Varela I4J on YouTube, and everybody else who asked us your questions for this episode. If you like this show and you want to help us out, it's real easy to do that. First, go to patreon.com/SciShowTangents, become a patron. Also, shout out to patron Les Aker for their support. Second, you can leave us a review wherever you listen. And finally, if you want to show your love for SciShow Tangents, just tell people about us.
Tell people about us. I forgot. I'm literally reading a Wikipedia about Batman right
now. Sam's already like, don't tell people about us. I'm moving on to my new career, Batman Ghostwriter.
Yeah.
Batman man.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I've been Hank Green.
I've been Ceri Riley.
And I've been Sam Schultz.
SciShow Tangents is created by all of us and produced by Jess Dempert. Our associate producer is Eve Schmidt. Our editor is Seth Glicksman. Our social media organizer is Julia Buzz Bazzaio. Our editorial assistant is Debuki Chakravarti. Our sound design is by Joseph Tuna Medish. Our executive producers are Nicole Sweeney and me, Hank Green, and we couldn't make any of this without our patrons on Patreon. Thank you, and remember, the mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be lighted.
But one more thing. The American businessman John Henry Kellogg was obsessed with health and building a wellness empire. And while he had a couple good ideas, including Kellogg's cornflakes and caring about the gut microbiome, he had many, many more awful ones, like decades of promoting eugenics and treatments like electrified baths. One of his more benign inventions was a vibrating dining chair that would supposedly stimulate your bowels to help you poop, in addition to curing headaches and back pain.
Oh.
Safe to say, it probably didn't do any of that.
No.
I disabe. That would definitely help you poop. You gotta loosen it up.
I think the second I sat in the vibrating chair, I'd be like, oh, time to go.